Here's our economics editor, Ben Chu. Ben.
Yes, Faisal, as you've been hearing, the Tory leadership election has already become an auction of tax cuts. Jeremy Hunt and Sajid Javid say they will reverse the incoming corporation tax hike and take the levy down to just 15%. Mr Javid also says he would reverse the recent national insurance rise. Liz Truss says she would do all that and cut business rates as well. Nadeem Zahawi says he will do all that and reduce income tax. Other candidates have also talked of cutting taxes, perhaps VAT and fuel duty again. Now, tax cuts might sound attractive, particularly to Tory MPs and members, but what would their economic impact be? One claim we've heard is that they could help the country cope with the cost of living crisis this year. Is that right?
Broad-based tax cuts such as universal cuts to VAT or to national insurance contributions will stimulate more demand in the economy and are likely to lead to the Bank of England increasing interest rates in response to that to try and bring demand and prices under control. So overall, they won't help to ease the cost of living.
What about fiscal sustainability? Is there leeway against the government's current fiscal rules that allows for tax cuts, as some candidates have suggested?
The normal sorts of forecast errors in public finance forecasts are of the order of £20 billion a year out. We're at the moment, if anything, in particularly uncertain times. So the £30 billion of headroom that the Chancellor had in March could easily be eaten up by the normal sorts of revisions to the economic outlook that we could expect over the next few years.
But that's the short term. Another bolder claim we've heard is that tax cuts would help the overall economy grow faster in the medium and long term, thus helping to pay for themselves by increasing government tax receipts. But economists who've looked at this say there's not much correlation between GDP growth rates and the size of the overall tax burden in different economies. Here's the UK and its total tax burden as a share of national income in 2019. It's about 33%, and it's set to rise to 36% in 2025, the highest since the war. Now, as you can see, that's higher than some developed countries, but also lower than many others. Some more highly taxed countries have done better economically than lower tax ones in recent decades. There's no compelling evidence that overall tax burdens determine economic outcomes. Mainstream economists and public finance experts think there is plenty of room for tax reform, perhaps even reductions in some specific levies. Yet the truth is there really isn't a large constituency for the argument that sweeping tax cuts as a share of the total economy will do very much to boost the UK's overall growth prospects. And public finance experts stress that over the coming decades, pressure for higher spending due to our ageing population is building. Last week, the government's official fiscal watchdog, the Office for Budget Responsibility, projected health spending rising from around 9% of GDP today to 13% in 2060, and adult social care almost doubling from 1.2% today to 2.3%, and state pensions rising from 5% at the moment to 7%, and overall age-related state spending rising from around 27% to around 34%. Now, that's some serious fiscal pressure amounting to around £175 billion in today's money. And the big fear among independent experts is that promises of economically cost-free tax cuts from politicians without commensurate commitments to cuts in spending risk being a form of denial of that reality. If some of the more extravagant tax-cutting bids win the Tory party leadership auction, experts fear this denial is likely to prove fiscally and politically unsustainable. Faisal.
Thank you, Ben.